The sun hung low over the green hills of New Dawn, a small human colony on a distant world. Tom, a young farmer, wiped sweat from his brow as he worked the fields. His hands were rough from years of planting crops in tough soil. The sky was clear, and the air smelled of fresh grass. Life was simple here, far from Earth's crowded cities. But today, something felt wrong. A shadow crossed the sky. Tom looked up, shielding his eyes. A massive shape, bigger than any ship he'd ever seen, blocked the sun. It was no human vessel. Its sharp edges and glowing red lights screened danger. The ground shook as it landed in the valley beyond the town. Dust rose in clouds, and the crops swayed like they were scared. Tom dropped his tool and ran toward the town square. Others joined him, farmers, shopkeepers, kids. Everyone stared at the valley. A low hum came from the ship, like a beast growling. The town's leader, an old woman named Ellen, climbed onto a crate. "Stay calm," she shouted. "We don't know what this is yet." The ship's side opened and a ramp hit the ground. Out stepped creatures unlike anything Tom had seen. They were tall, with sharp claws and eyes that glowed like fire. Their skin was like armor, black and shiny. The crowd gasped. These were the Craft, the galaxy's deadliest predators. Stories said they hunted entire worlds for sport, leaving nothing alive. One Craft, bigger than the others, stepped forward. Its voice boomed, translated by a small device. "Humans of New Dawn," it said. "I am the first hunter. Your world is weak, a speck in the stars. We are the Craft, masters of Deathworlds. We offer you a chance to prove your worth. Send one champion to face me in a duel. Win, and we leave. Lose, and your world is ours." The crowd froze. Ellen's face went pale. "A duel?" she whispered. Whispers spread. No one could fight a Craft. They were too strong, too fast. Tom's heart pounded. He wasn't a soldier or a hero. He was just a farmer who liked quiet days. But something burned inside him. The Craft's words felt like a slap. Weak. Humans weren't weak. Ellen raised her hand. "We need time to choose," she said. The first hunter laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You have 1 day. Choose well or die." The Craft returned to their ship, leaving the humans in silence. That night, the town hall was packed. People argued, scared and angry. "No one can win," said a baker. "We should run," said a teacher. But running meant leaving everything: homes, fields, lives. Tom sat in the back, listening. His hands shook, but his mind raced. He thought of his parents, who'd built this colony with hope. He thought of Earth, where humans had survived floods, wars, and worse. Ellen stood. "We can't give up without a fight. Who will face this monster?" No one spoke. Eyes dropped to the floor. Tom felt the room's fear like a weight. Then, without thinking, he stood up. "I'll do it," he said. His voice was quiet, but clear. Everyone turned. Ellen blinked. "Tom? You're no fighter." The baker laughed nervously. "He's a farmer." Tom's face burned, but he didn't sit down. "I know," he said, "but someone has to try. If we don't, they'll take our home. I won't let that happen." The room went silent. Ellen stared at him, then nodded. "All right, Tom. You're our champion." People whispered, some in shock, some in hope. Tom felt sick. What had he done? He wasn't strong or fast. He had no plan. But he saw the Craft's glowing eyes in his mind, and his fear turned to anger. As the meeting ended, an old woman approached. It was Mary, a retired soldier who lived on the town's edge. Her face was lined, but her eyes were sharp. "You're brave, kid. Or crazy. Either way, I'll help you. Meet me at dawn. We've got work to do." Tom nodded, his stomach twisting. He walked home under the stars, the Craft ship glowing in the distance. It looked like a monster waiting to strike. He thought of the duel, of facing a creature born to kill. Could he win? He didn't know, But he knew humans didn't give up. Not on Earth, not here. At home, he sat by his small fire, his dog Rusty curled up beside him. Tom looked out through the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, humans had faced worse and survived. He wasn't a hero, but he was human. That had to mean something. Tomorrow, he'd train with Mary. Tomorrow, he'd face his fear. For now, he closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "I'm not weak." The words felt true, even if he didn't believe them yet. The craft thought humans were nothing. Tom would show them they were wrong. Dawn broke over New Dawn with a soft pink light. Tom woke early, his body stiff from a night of bad dreams. The craft's glowing eyes haunted him, but he pushed the fear down. Rusty whined at his feet, sensing his worry. Tom patted the dog's head. "It's okay, boy. We'll be fine." He grabbed a quick breakfast of bread and water, then headed out. Mary waited by the old barn on the town's edge. She wore faded army clothes, her gray hair tied back. In her hands, she held 2 wooden sticks, like practice swords. "You're late," she said, though Tom was right on time. Her voice was gruff, but her eyes showed kindness. "Sorry," Tom muttered. He felt small next to her, even though she was shorter. Mary had fought in the colony's early wars against bugs and storms that tried to wipe them out. She was tough, the kind of person who made you believe you could be tough too. "No sorries today," Mary said. "We train. First, tell me why you stepped up. Truth." Tom shifted his feet. "I don't know. They called us weak. It made me mad. And no one else would." Mary nodded. "Good enough. Humans fight when backed into a corner. That's our edge. Krath are hunters. They chase for fun. We fight to live." She tossed him a stick. "Now swing at me, hard as you can." Tom gripped the stick and swung. Mary dodged like water, her stick tapping his side lightly. Too slow, again. They went at it for hours. Tom swung, missed, got hit. Sweat poured down his face. His arms burned. But Mary didn't let up. "Feel the burn? That's your body saying you're alive. Push through it." By midday, Tom collapsed on a hay bale, breathing hard. Mary sat beside him, handing him water. "You're not built like them, Tom. Krath are big, claws like knives. But size ain't everything. Duel's not just muscle, it's head and heart." Tom wiped his face. "What do you mean?" Mary leaned back. "Krath come from Deathworlds, planets that kill most things. They survived by being mean and strong. But humans, we bend, we break, we fix. Remember the stories from Earth? People crossed oceans in wood boats, climbed mountains with no air, built cities from nothing. That's us." Tom thought of his grandparents' tales. Earth had ice that covered lands, fires that ate forests. Humans didn't run, they adapted. "So I use my brain?" "Smart boy. Watch their moves, find weak spots, and never quit. Humans got grit like no other." As they rested, a shadow fell over the barn. Tom looked up. A small craft drone hovered there, red eyes watching it. It buzzed softly, recording them. The craft were spying. Tom's stomach twisted. "They're watching." "Let 'em," Mary said. "Shows they're scared." She stood. "Break's over. Run laps. Build those legs." The afternoon blurred into pain. Tom ran hills, lifted rocks, practiced dodges. Mary shouted tips. Feet light, eyes sharp, breathe deep. By sunset, Tom could barely stand, but something shifted inside him. The fear was still there, but now it fueled him. That evening, the town gathered in the square. Word had spread about Tom's training. Ellen stood on her crate again. "The Krath sent a message," she said. "The duel is tomorrow in their arena. Their champion is Gorv, the Bloodclaw. He's killed 100 foes." Murmurs rose. A kid asked, "What's he like?" Ellen read from a screen. 10 feet tall, arms like trees, teeth that rip metal, fast as a storm." The crowd paled. Tom felt eyes on him. He stepped forward. "I'll face him."
A voice boomed from the sky, the first hunters through speakers on the ship. "Little farmer, you dare? Gorv will crush you like an egg." Laughter echoed, harsh and cold. "Humans are soft, prey, not predators." Tom's fist clenched. "We'll see," he called back, voice steady. The laughter stopped. The voice growled. "Tomorrow then, dawn. Come alone or we burn your fields." The message cut off. The town buzzed. Some patted Tom's back. Others hugged him. "You're crazy, but we're with you," said the baker. A teacher gave him a book of old human fights, stories of underdogs winning. Mary pulled Tom aside. "Tonight, rest, eat. Think of why you fight, not for glory, for us." Tom nodded. Back home, he ate stew by the fire. Rusty lay close. He opened the book, reading of a man who beat giants with a sling, warriors who held bridges alone. Humans won with smarts and will. Sleep came slow. Dreams mixed fear and fire. Gorv loomed, claws flashing, but Tom dodged, struck back. He woke before dawn, heart racing. Today was the day. He met Mary at the edge of town. She handed him a real knife, short, sharp, from her army days. Not much, but better than nothing. Remember, bend, don't break. Tom took it, feeling its weight. "Thanks, Mary, for everything." She squeezed his shoulder. "Go show them what humans are made of." The arena waited, a massive circle of dirt and stone built overnight by craft machines. Humans gathered at the edge, a sea of worried faces. The craft ship loomed above, like a dark cloud. Gorv stepped out first. He was a nightmare. Towering, muscles rippling under black scales, claws glinting. His eyes burned red. He roared, shaking the ground. Tom walked in, knife in hand, heart pounding like a drum. The crowd held their breath. Gorv laughed. "Come, soft one, your end is quick." Tom met his gaze. "Not today." Inside, he whispered Mary's words. "Grit, heart, humans don't quit." The duel was about to begin. The sun rose over the craft's arena, a massive circle of packed dirt and jagged stones, carved into the valley floor. Tom stood at one end, gripping Mary's knife, its blade glinting faintly. His heart thumped like a hammer, but he kept his eyes on Gorv, the craft champion, who towered at the other end. Gorv's black scales shimmered, his claws scraping the ground. His red eyes burned with hunger. The humans of New Dawn crowded the arena's edge, their faces pale but hopeful. The craft, perched on high platforms, watched like vultures. A low horn sounded from the craft's ship, echoing across the valley. The first hunter's voice boomed. "Begin." Gorv charged, faster than Tom expected. The ground shook as the beast closed the gap, claw slashing. Tom dove to the side, rolling in the dirt. The crowd gasped. Gorv's claw missed by inches, tearing a gash in the ground. Tom scrambled up, his legs shaky, but moving. Mary's words rang in his head. Feet light, eyes sharp. "You run, little prey?" Gorv roared, his voice like thunder. The craft laughed, their sounds sharp and cruel. Tom didn't answer. He circled, keeping low, watching Gorv's movements. The craft was fast, but his swings were wide, showy. Pride, Tom thought. He's showing off. Gorv lunged again, jaw snapping. Tom ducked under the attack, feeling the air whip past his face. He slashed with the knife, aiming for Gorv's leg. The blade scraped a scale, leaving a scratch. Gorv snarled, more annoyed than hurt, but the humans cheered. "Go, Tom!" a kid shouted. The sound gave Tom strength. The craft champion spun, tail whipping like a club. Tom jumped back, but the tail grazed his arm, sending him stumbling. Pain burned, blood trickling down his sleeve. The crowd hushed. Gorv grinned, teeth like daggers. "Soft, human. You break easy." Tom gritted his teeth. Bend, don't break. He darted forward, faking a stumble. Gorv took the bait, swinging a claw. Tom ducked under the attack, feeling the air whip past his face. He slashed with the knife, aiming for Gorv's leg. The blade bit deeper, drawing a thin line of dark blood. Gorv roared, staggering slightly. The craft crowd went silent. Tom's heart leapt. He could do this. The fight became a dance of speed and tricks. Gorv was a storm of claws and teeth, but Tom was smaller, quicker. He dodged, weaved, used the arena's rocks for cover. Each time Gorv missed, he grew angrier, his attacks sloppier. Tom saw it. Pride was his weakness. The craft champion wanted to crush him fast, to prove humans were nothing. Tom led Gorv towards a cluster of sharp stones. "Come on, big guy," he muttered. Gorv charged, eyes blazing. Tom sidestepped at the last second, and Gorv's claw slammed into the rocks, cracking one. The champion howled, shaking his hand. The humans roared, their cheers louder than ever. Ellen's voice cut through. "Keep going, Tom!" The craft on the platform shifted, uneasy. Their champion wasn't winning easily. Tom panted, his body aching. He couldn't keep this up forever. Gorv's rage made him dangerous, but also careless. Tom needed one good move. He spotted a shallow ditch in the arena floor, dug by craft machines. An idea sparked. Tom ran towards it, pretending to limp. Gorv laughed. "No more running." He charged, claws high. Tom dove into the ditch, rolling to the side. Gorv's momentum carried him forward, and his leg caught in the ditch. He stumbled, crashing to one knee. Tom leapt up, knife flashing. He aimed for Gorv's shoulder, where scales looked thinner. The blade sunk in, and Gorv bellowed, swiping wildly. Tom pulled back, but Gorv's claw caught his leg, tearing his pants and skin. Tom fell, pain shooting through him. The crowd screamed. Gorv stood, blood dripping from his shoulder. He towered over Tom, ready to end it. But Tom rolled away, gasping, and threw a handful of dirt into Gorv's eyes. The craft flinched, clawing at his face. Tom staggered up, slashing Gorv's side. Another thin cut, not enough to kill, but enough to sting. The horn blared again. The first hunter's voice cut through the chaos. "Enough. Time ends." Tom froze, chest heaving. Gorv growled, wiping dirt from his eyes. The arena was silent. The first hunter stepped forward, his face unreadable. No victor. A draw. The craft hissed, some angry, some shocked. The humans erupted in cheers. Tom, a farmer, had stood against Gorv and lived. Ellen rushed to him, helping him stand. "You did it," she whispered. Tom's legs shook, but he managed to smile. Gorv glared, his pride wounded. "This is not over, human," he snarled. The first hunter raised the claw. "You fought well for prey, but we test strength again. A rematch. In 3 days. Prepare or perish." The craft left the arena, their steps heavy. Tom limped to Mary, who waited at the edge. She clapped him on the shoulder. "You made him blink, kid. That's a start. But Gorv's mad now. Next time, he won't play." Tom nodded, pain and pride mixing in his chest. The humans crowded around him, their fear replaced by hope. They saw him not as a farmer, but as one of them, a human who didn't quit. He looked at the craft ship, its red lights glowing. 3 days. He'd be ready. Back at home, Tom sat by his fire bandaging his wounds. Rusty licked his hand. The book of human heroes lay open beside him. He read of a woman who outsmarted the king, a man who tamed fire. Humans didn't need claws or scales. They had heart. Tomorrow, he'd train harder. Gorv thought he won by surviving. Tom would show him surviving was just the beginning. The morning after the duel, Tom woke with aches in every muscle. His arm and leg, bandaged from Gorv's claws, throbbed with every step. But the fire in his chest burned stronger than the pain. He'd faced the Krath champion and lived. The humans of New Dawn looked at him differently now. Not just a farmer, but a spark of hope. The rematch was in 2 days, and Tom knew it would be harder. Gorv wouldn't underestimate him again. In the Krath ship, high above the colony, the first hunter sat with his advisors. The arena fight played on screens, showing Tom dodging, striking, surviving. "This human," one advisor hissed, "is no prey. He fights like a cornered beast." The first hunter's eyes narrowed. "Then we learn, find their secrets. Why does this weak species endure?" The craft tapped into old human records, stolen from colony archives. They read of Earth's history, ice ages that froze oceans, wars that burned cities, diseases that killed millions. Yet humans rebuilt, invented, thrived. One advisor scoffed. "They are soft, slow. How do they survive?" Another answered, "They adapt, they think, they refuse to die." The first hunter growled, "Then we break their spirit in the rematch." In New Dawn, Tom trained with Mary at the barn. She pushed him harder, teaching him to move faster, strike smarter. "Gorv's angry now," she said, dodging his practice swing. "He'll come to kill, not play. You need an edge." Tom panted, sweat dripping. "What edge? He's a monster." Mary smirked. "You're human. That's your edge. We don't look strong, but we outlast. Ever hear of the marathon? Old Earth story. A man ran miles to warn his people, then died, but his warning saved them. That's us. Running till we drop, then getting up." Tom nodded, gripping his knife. Mary's stories knit something in him. Humans had faced giants before, storms, beasts, even themselves. He trained through the day, running hills, practicing dodges, ignoring the pain in his wounds. The town watched, bringing him water, food, cheers. Ellen, the leader, joined them. "You've given us hope, Tom. Keep going." That afternoon, Mary took Tom to the town's old archive, a dusty building filled with relics from Earth. "If brawn won't win, brains will," she said. They searched through crates of tools and books. Tom found a small, strange device, a metal box with wires and a button. "What's this?" he asked. Mary's eyes lit up. "An old EMP pulse. Knocks out tech for a moment. Krath armor might use circuits, sensors for balance, strength. Hit this, and Gorv could stumble." Tom turned the box in his hands. It was heavy, simple, human-made. "Will it work?" "Maybe, but it's one shot. Use it right." That night, the town gathered around a bonfire. The Krath ship loomed in the sky, its red lights watching. People shared stories to lift spirits. A teacher told of humans taming fire, building ships to the stars. A kid spoke of a woman who faced a bear with just a stick. Tom listened, his fear fading. Humans weren't claws or scales. They were stubborn, clever, unbreakable. A Krath drone buzzed overhead, its red eye recording. The first hunter's voice crackled through it. "Humans, your champion's tricks won't save you. Gorv trains, he hungers. Tomorrow you fall." The drone flew off, leaving silence. Ellen stood. "They want us scared, but Tom showed them we're not prey. Tomorrow we cheer louder. For him, for us." The crowd roared, fists raised. Tom felt their strength flow into him. He wasn't alone. He carried their hope, their fight. Mary leaned close. "Sleep tonight. Dream of winning. Then do it." At home, Tom sat by his fire, Rusty at his feet. He held the EMP device, its weight grounding him. The Book of Heroes lay open. He read of a boy who tricked a giant, a team who built a bridge under attack. Humans won by thinking, by refusing to quit. He traced the device's button. One shot. He'd make it count. Sleep came easier this time. Dreams showed not Gorv's claws, but Tom standing tall, the crowd cheering. He woke before dawn, ready. Mary met him at the barn, her face hard but proud. "You're not the same kid from 3 days ago. You're tougher, sharper, human." Tom smiled faintly. "Thanks, Mary. Let's finish this." The arena waited, the same dirt and stones now marked with scars from the first fight. The humans packed the edges, their voices a steady hum. The crafts stood on their platforms, but some looked uneasy. Tom's draw had shaken them. They whispered amongst themselves, doubting their own tales of invincibility. Gorv stepped out, his scales polished, wounds patched. His eyes burned hotter than before. "No tricks this time, human," he growled. "I crush you." Tom clutched the EMP device in one hand, knife in the other. His heart raced, but his mind was clear. Mary's voice echoed, brains and heart. The crowd chanted his name. Ellen waved. Even Rusty barked from the sidelines. The first hunter raised a claw. "This ends today. Fight." Tom took a breath. The rematch was here. He wasn't just fighting for himself, but for New Dawn, for humans, everywhere. Gorv charged, and Tom moved, ready to show the galaxy what a weak human could do.
The arena buzzed with tension as dawn broke over New Dawn. Tom stood at the center, the EMP device tucked in his belt, Mary's knife in his hand. His wounds from the first duel ached, but his eyes were sharp, focused. The crowd of humans packed the sidelines, their chants a steady drumbeat. "Tom! Tom!" The craft watched from their platforms, some silent, others hissing. Gorv's draw with the human had split their confidence. Some saw Tom as a curiosity, others a threat. Gorv stepped into the arena, his black scales gleaming, his shoulders still scarred from Tom's knife. His red eyes burned with fury. "No more games, human," he growled, claws flexing. "Your tricks end now." Tom said nothing, his heart racing, but steady. Mary's words echoed, "One shot. Use it right." The first hunter raised a claw. "Fight!" The horn blared, and Gorv charged like a landslide. Tom dodged, rolling to the side as claws tore the dirt where he'd stood. The crowd roared. Gorv was faster this time, his swings tighter, no longer showy. He learned from the first fight. Tom had to be smarter. Tom darted around the arena, using rocks and ditches for cover. Gorv's tail whipped, nearly catching him. Tom ducked, feeling the air snap. He slashed with the knife, aiming for Gorv's legs, but the scales were too thick. The blade skidded off, and Gorv laughed, a sound like breaking stone. Weak, soft. The crowd's cheers grew louder, pushing Tom on. He remembered Mary's stories, humans who outsmarted stronger foes, who turned weakness into strength. He clutched the EMP device, waiting for the moment. Gorv lunged, jaws wide. Tom dove under him, sliding across the dirt. He slashed Gorv's ankle, drawing a thin trickle of blood. The craft roared, angrier now. The fight wore on, brutal and fast. Tom's breath burned in his chest, his legs heavy. Gorv's claws grazed his arm, tearing his sleeve and skin. Blood dripped, but Tom kept moving. He led Gorv toward a narrow gap between two boulders, a trap he'd spotted earlier. Gorv followed, too furious to think. Tom squeezed through the gap, but Gorv's bulk slowed him, his claws scraping stone. Now was the moment. Tom pressed the EMP device's button. A faint hum pulsed out, and Gorv staggered, his armored scales flickering with tiny lights. The craft's armor, sensors for balance and strength, faltered for a second. Gorv's eyes widened, confused as he stumbled. Tom didn't hesitate. He leapt, knife flashing, and drove it into the gap between Gorv's shoulder scales, where the EMP had weakened the armor's hold. Gorv bellowed, swinging wildly. Tom ducked, but a claw caught his side, sending him sprawling. Pain exploded, but Tom rolled to his feet. The crowd screamed, half fear, half hope. Gorv charged, slower now, his movements jerky. The EMP had done its job, but it was spent. Tom only had his knife and his will. He remembered the human heroes, those who faced impossible odds and won by refusing to quit. He circled Gorv, staying low. The craft's pride was his downfall. He roared, "Stand and die, human!" But Tom kept moving, darting in to slash at Gorv's legs, arms, anywhere he could reach.
Each cut was small, but they added up. Gorv bled, his steps growing heavy. The Krath crowd murmured. Some leaned forward, eyes wide. They'd never seen a human fight like this, relentless, cunning. Tom saw his chance. He lured Gorv toward a ditch, the same one from the first fight. Pretending to limp, he stumbled near it. Gorv pounced, claws high. Tom dove aside, and Gorv's weight carried him into the ditch, his legs tangling. Tom sprang up, heart pounding. He jumped on Gorv's back, wrapping his arm around the Krath's thick neck. The knife pressed against the soft spot under Gorv's jaw. "Yield!" Tom shouted. Gorv thrashed, but the ditch held him, and Tom's grip tightened. The crowd went wild, their cheers shaking the arena. Gorv froze, panting. The first hunter stood, his face unreadable. "Enough!" he boomed. The horn sounded. Tom slid off, stepping back, knife ready. Gorv climbed out, bloodied and slow. He glared at Tom, but there was something new in his eyes. Respect. The first hunter spoke. "The human wins." The Krath hissed, some angry, some stunned. The humans erupted, rushing to Tom. Ellen hugged him, tears in her eyes. Mary grinned and clapped his shoulder. "Knew you had it, kid." But the first hunter wasn't done. "You fought well, human, but one fight does not save your world. We test you again, a hunt across your lands. Survive, and we leave. Fail, and you are ours." Tom, bruised and bleeding, stood tall. "We'll be ready." The crowd cheered louder, their fear gone. The Krath retreated to their ship, their confidence shaken. Some whispered among themselves, calling Tom the small predator. At home, Tom collapsed by his fire, Rusty at his side. Mary sat with him, cleaning his wounds. "You beat their best," she said. "Now they're scared. A hunt's next. We'll need everyone." Tom nodded, exhaustion mixing with pride. He'd shown the Krath what one human could do. Now, he'd show them what all of New Dawn could do. The Book of Heroes lay open, its pages worn. Humans had faced worse than Krath and won. He closed his eyes, ready for the next fight.
The sun dipped low over New Dawn's wild lands, painting the hills and forests in shades of gold and shadow. Tom stood with Mary and a small group of townsfolk, Ellen, the baker John, and a young teacher named Leela, at the edge of town. The Krath had announced their final test, a hunt across the colony's rugged terrain. 10 Krath warriors would track the humans. If the humans survived until dawn, the Krath would leave. If not, New Dawn would fall. Tom's side ached from the rematch, but his victory over Gorv's had changed everything. The townsfolk looked to him now, their eyes bright with trust. Mary clapped his shoulder. "You beat their best. Now we show 'em we're all trouble." Ellen nodded. "We know this land. They don't. That's our edge." The first hunter's voice boomed from a hovering drone. "Humans, the hunt begins at dusk. Run or fight, it matters not. You are prey." The drone buzzed away, and the craft ship's red lights pulsed like eyes in the fading light. Tom's group gathered supplies, knives, ropes, water, and a few old tools from the archive. Mary carried a slingshot, simple but deadly in her hands. John had a machete, Leela a flare gun. Ellen brought maps of the wildlands marked with caves and streams. "We stick together," Tom said. "Move fast, use the land. They're hunters, but we're survivors." As dusk fell, the group slipped into the forest. The Krath warriors, tall and clawed, fanned out from their ship, their scales glinting in the moonlight. Their growls echoed, sharp and hungry. Tom led his team toward a rocky ridge, its paths narrow and hard to track. "We stick together, move fast, use the land. They're hunters, but we're survivors." The first hour was quiet, the humans moving silently through the trees. Leela, nervous but sharp-eyed, spotted a craft shadow moving parallel. "They're close," she hissed. Tom nodded, signaling to climb higher. The ridge's loose stones would make noise under Krath claws. Sure enough,
A crunch echoed below. The humans froze, holding their breath. The craft passed, unaware. Mary whispered, "They rely on senses, sight, sound. We mess with those, we win." Tom remembered her stories of human hunters on Earth, using traps and tricks. He pointed to a narrow gully ahead, lined with vines. "We can use that." They worked fast. John and Leela strung vines across the gully, low and hidden. Ellen scattered dry leaves to mask their scent. Tom and Mary rigged a trap, rocks balanced on a ledge tied to a rope. If a craft tripped the vines, the rocks would fall. "Not to kill," Tom said, "to scare, make 'em doubt." The hunt grew intense. A craft warrior faster than the rest caught their trail. Its claws tore through bushes, its red eyes glowing. Tom's group ran, hearts pounding. The warrior hit the gully, tripped on the vines, and roared as rocks tumbled down. The noise echoed, startling other craft in the distance. The humans slipped away deeper into the forest. The night wore on, cold and tense. The craft were relentless, their growls closer each hour, but the humans were clever. Leela used her flare gun to light a dry bush, creating a wall of smoke that confused a craft's senses. John hacked branches to block a path, slowing their pursuers. Mary's slingshot sent stones flying, striking craft from afar, making them hesitate. Tom led them to a cave, its entrance hidden by vines. "Rest here," he said. "They'll think we kept running." Inside, the group caught their breath. Ellen unrolled her map. "Dawn's in 3 hours. We're close to the river. It's fast, deep. They won't cross easily." The craft grew frustrated, their growls angrier. The humans' tricks, smoke, traps, misdirection made them stumble. One craft fell into a muddy stream, thrashing as it sank. Another turned back, spooked by Leela's flares. The first hunter watched from his ship, his claws tight. "These humans," he growled to an advisor, "they fight like ghosts." With an hour to dawn, Tom's group reached the river. Its current roared, too strong for heavy craft to cross. Tom had an idea. "We make them think we're trapped here." They lit a small fire near the bank, leaving footprints in the mud. Then they doubled back, hiding in a thicket upstream. 3 craft arrived, spotting the fire. They roared in triumph, thinking the humans cornered. But as they waded into the river, the current pulled at their heavy bodies. Tom's group struck. Mary's slingshot hit one in the eye. John threw rocks. Leela's flare blinded another. The craft flailed, slipping in the water, and retreated, soaked and shaken. Dawn broke, painting the sky red. The first hunter's drone appeared. "Time ends," his voice boomed. "Humans, you live." The craft warriors, battered and weary, returned to their ship. The humans emerged from the thicket, exhausted but unbroken. The townsfolk, watching from a hill, cheered wildly. Tom leaned on Mary, his wounds screaming but his heart full. "We did it," he said. Ellen hugged Leela and John. "We're not prey," she said. The craft ship hummed, its lights dimmer now. The first hunter's voice came once more, softer. "You are unexpected. We will speak." The humans returned to town, their steps light despite the pain. They turned the hunters into the hunted. Tom looked at his team, at the crowd's proud faces. Humans weren't the strongest or fastest, but together, they were unstoppable. The sun rose over new dawn, its light soft and warm, chasing away the shadows of the long night. Tom stood on the hill overlooking the town, his wounds bandaged, his body sore but his spirit light. The Croth ship still loomed in the valley, but its red lights no longer felt like a threat. The humans of New Dawn gathered in the square below, their voices loud with pride. They had faced the galaxy's deadliest predators and won. In the Croth ship, the first hunter stood before his council. The screens showed the hunt. Humans slipping through forests, setting traps, outsmarting warriors. "They are not prey," an advisor said, his claws tight. "They fight as one, think as one." The first hunter's eyes narrowed. "We came to hunt. Instead, we learned." He turned to a screen showing Tom, small but unyielding. This one, he changed us. In the town square, Ellen climbed onto her crate, her face glowing. We did it, she said. Tom, Mary, John, Leela, you showed the Croth what humans are. We're not just survivors, we're fighters. The crowd cheered, hugging, laughing. Kids ran around, waving sticks like swords. Even Rusty, Tom's dog, barked wildly, chasing his tail. A shadow fell over the square. The Croth ships ramped lowered, and the first hunter stepped out, alone. No weapons, no warriors. The humans fell silent, hands on knives and tools. Tom stepped forward, Mary at his side. The first hunter raised a claw, not in threat, but in pause. We speak, he said, his voice low. We fought well, he continued. You're kind, you are not what we thought. We hunted you as weak. You proved us wrong. We offer peace. Your world is yours. The cross eyes met Tom's. You, small one, taught us respect. Tom's heart pounded, but he stood tall. We don't want war. We just want our home. The first hunter nodded, a slow, heavy gesture. Then, it is yours. We leave at dusk. He turned, his steps slow, and returned to the ship. The crowd erupted, their cheers louder than ever. Mary claps Tom's shoulder. You did that, kid, not just with a knife, but with heart. Ellen hugged him, her eyes wet. You're our hero, Tom. He shook his head, face red. I'm just a farmer. We all fought. That evening, the Croth ship rose into the sky, its lights fading into the stars. The townsfolk watched, some waving, others silent. They were safe. New dawn was theirs. But the story didn't end there. Word of the victory spread, carried by trade ships and signals to other colonies. Humans, once ignored by the galaxy, were now a name whispered with awe. Weeks later, a ship arrived, not Croth, but another species, small and bird-like. Their leader, a creature with bright feathers, met Ellen. We heard of your fight, it said. You beat the Croth. We seek alliance with humans. More came after, traders, explorers, even warriors from distant stars. New dawn grew, its fields greener, its homes stronger. Tom returned to his farm, his hands back in the soil. He liked the quiet, the simple work of planting seeds. But the town never forgot. Kids told stories of the farmer who faced the monster, of the hunt where humans turned predators. Mary visited often, her slingshot retired, but her stories sharper than ever. You started something, Tom, she said one day, sitting by his fire. The galaxy's watching us now. He nodded, petting Rusty. Good. Let him see what we can do. He thought of the Croth, of Gorv's angry eyes turning to respect. The first hunter's words echoed. You taught us. He hoped they'd spread that lesson. Humans weren't prey. Far across the stars, in a Croth stronghold, warriors gathered around a fire. An elder spoke, his voice low. On a small world, we met humans. Weak, soft, small. But they fought like storms, fought like rivers. The one called Tom, he was their claw. The young Croth listened, wide-eyed. The story of New Dawn became their legend, a warning and a wonder. Tom didn't know this. He didn't need to. His world was his fields, his dog, his people. One night, he sat outside, the stars bright above. The book of human heroes lay beside him, its pages worn but loved. He thought of the stories, men and women who faced the impossible, who built, fought, endured. He'd added to those pages, not with claws or strength, but with grit. Ellen visited, bringing news. Another colony wants our help. They're facing raiders. They heard about you. Tom smiled faintly. I'm no soldier. Ellen laughed. You're human. That's enough. He looked at the stars, feeling the weight of their gaze. The galaxy was big, full of dangers, but humans were small in size. Together, they could face anything. Tom stood up, dusting off his hands. Let's help him. New Dawn thrived, its people stronger, their spirit unbroken. Tom worked his fields, but he was ready. If the galaxy called, he'd answer. not as a hero, but as a human, one of many, stubborn and unstoppable.